Hi, this is Shannon. I hope you are having a good end of the year, winding down homeschool things, finishing up with your CC community, and I just hope it's going well and you are getting excited for the summer. I know I am. I wanted to hop on and share a little bit about classical conversations. So we just finished our third year being a part of classical conversations, and so I have learned and experienced a lot. So I want to share with you an honest review and some specific parts of it that you might not know about. If you are new to my channel, I am a homeschooling mom of 3 little kids, 6, 4, and almost 2. And we have been homeschooling since my oldest daughter was almost 4. So again, we just completed our third year and we're going into our 4th year, which is crazy. It's gone so fast. And we have been doing classical conversations the whole time, and I get to tutor the obesitarians, so I really love that. So check out my other videos focused on tutoring if you are also a tutor and interested. Make sure you stick around to the end of my video. I am going to talk about the number one critique I hear of classical conversations and just how I would respond to that. So again, I want to share with you a few specific things about classical conversations and my honest thoughts about those things. I hope this is helpful for you, especially if you are new to classical conversations or considering it. So the first thing I really love about classical conversations is its leadership structure. So every community has a director who is the leader and organizes a bunch of logistics and all kinds of behind the scenes things. Our director is phenomenal. She does so much. I don't know how she does it all. She's amazing. She just keeps things running really smoothly. She's very organized. She plans the science experiment and the fine arts that we do every week. So like I said before, I have been a tutor, so I plan how I'm going to present all the subjects to the little kids in my group. But she runs the science experiment for all ages of kids, and she is usually leading fine arts and plans that. And so I am just so thankful for all she does for that. There's no way I would be able to plan all those science experiments, get all the materials. I just would not be able to do that. And so I'm really thankful that my kids get to experience that. The science experiments are awesome. We just made this geosphere model and also has the atmosphere parts. So has the little world, biosphere, hydrosphere. Some of the things have fallen off because we've had it for several weeks, but then the kids got to label the different parts of the atmosphere as well. So this is just one example. They get to do really cool things every single week. And again, she plans that, brings the materials for that. We don't have to do any of that. As a tutor, I know the science experiment we're doing ahead of time and can help talk about it and ask the kids questions about it, but she does the majority of the planning for that part. So in my experience, I've seen that pretty much anything thrives with a really good leader. And so I'm just really thankful that Classical Conversations has directors that are the leader of each group. The directors also have people who support and encourage them and help them. So it just works really well. I've seen several other homeschool groups that just kind of fall apart because they don't have that leadership. I'm sure it's possible to do without a main leader, but I think it just really helps things run smoothly and it just makes everybody else feel supported. Also, I wanted to talk about how the parents are the primary teachers in Classical Conversations, and I know pretty much in every homeschool, the parent is the teacher. That's a big difference, right? But I love that in my experience with Classical Conversations, they really emphasize that. Even though you come to the community time and there are tutors that present the material to the kids, the parent is still the primary teacher. So parents are in the room with the tutors. The tutor's job is to present the material, but the parent takes that and expands on that throughout the week with the kids, whether that's reading books about those things or doing little activities at home. The parents get the freedom of how to expand on those things with their kids and how deep to dive depending on their ages, etc. So I just really love that that is how it works. I also love that my kids, not yet because I've been their tutor, but one day we'll have another parent introducing the material to them. And I think it's good for our kids to have other adults teaching them sometimes, but the parent is still always the primary teacher. The next thing I want to talk about is community. All of us know when we are homeschooling that community is so important. We can burn out really quickly if we don't have a community of other parents who are doing the same thing that we're doing. I love that Classical Conversations has been our automatic community with that. And the families are just awesome. And I love knowing that I get to go there each week. If I've had issues during the week or I'm not sure what math curriculum I should do or something like that, I have people I can brainstorm that with who often have been on this journey longer than I have. And so it's just really helpful. Plus, obviously, our kids are getting that community too with other kids. And we don't only just meet with them once per week. A lot of times we do play dates with them outside of that community day. We go on field trips with them. And so the community piece is just awesome. So obviously you could find that not doing Classical Conversations, but it is just an automatic community that you get to be a part of when you do join. So I'm really thankful for that. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about are field trips. I already mentioned our director is awesome, and she plans a field trip pretty much every week, and it's so fun. This year we've been to museums, we've been to farms, we had a Lego competition that she arranged one time. We've done all kinds of stuff, and it's just a great opportunity for the kids to learn more about what they've been learning about, but in a different way, and also just to have fun together and build that community. So that's another piece that I would not be able to do on my own, or even in a homeschool community that maybe I just gathered people that I know homeschool. It would just be really hard to plan the kind of field trips that our director does for us. So that's another thing I'm really thankful for. And a lot of times she gets us discount rates to things or even free things that normally we would have to pay for. And so it's just a really great opportunity for lots of different reasons. I also love the curriculum. All you have to get when you start out with Classical Conversations is literally this book. And I believe it's like $99. It could be a little bit different right now. I don't remember, but around $100 for this book. But your kids will use this until they're about 11 or 12 years old. And when they move on to Essentials, they'll do something different. But during Foundations, they use this book, and this is all you need. This has all the curriculum for all 3 cycles. So I just love that it's very simple, and obviously you can expand on the history or science or Latin or English that your kids are learning however you want. You can check books out from the library. You could, buy other things if you want, but you don't have to. This is really all you need. So I've loved the curriculum so far. It's very organized, makes a lot of sense why the kids learn certain things when they do. I like that there's 3 cycles, and that after we go through the 3 cycles, the kids will repeat those and see that material again. I think that's really great. So I'm a big fan of the curriculum. The only thing I do in addition to what's in here is I have a math curriculum I do with my kids from The Good and the Beautiful. I've mentioned that before in my other videos. I will link below why I switched from Saxon to The Good and the Beautiful if you're interested. And I do some language arts with them. So right now my kids are pretty little, so all I do is handwriting stuff. I use Handwriting Without Tears, and I read with them obviously, and I'm teaching my daughter to read. I've done the Learn How to Read in 100 Days. I think that's what it's called. Curriculum with her, and that worked really well. So language arts and math are the only things I feel like you kind of need something additional for. But other than that, history, science, Latin, English, and math are also included. Timeline, obviously, so that's all in here. It would take me a lot of time and energy to go find an additional history curriculum, an additional science curriculum, and then buying the resources for those each year would get really costly. So again, you just have to buy this book one time and use it for many years, which is great. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and this is probably the number one critique of Classical Conversations that I've heard from people is, oh, it's too expensive. And I disagree with that. So obviously it does cost some to join a community, but the benefits that you're getting, I think, just make that so worth it. And like I said before, if you're finding a history curriculum for your kid and a science curriculum, and maybe you want to do Latin, all that would add up really quickly when you don't have to get those additional curriculums if you just stick with the classical conversations curriculum. So the cost is just so worth it to me. And I think if you, again, add it up, doing field trips on your own, buying all the science materials to do science experiments on your own, and just the time and energy it would take to plan all that yourself, it would just quickly add up. I think the expense that you do pay at the beginning for classical conversations each year is totally worth it. So obviously, I'm a big fan. We've had a great experience. We plan to stick with classical conversations for the long haul, Lord willing. And I would love if you have any questions about either classical conversations or just homeschooling in general. Please ask in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. But I'm here to hopefully help and encourage you. And if you're thinking about joining classical conversations, I would highly recommend it. Another great thing about it that I didn't mention is they have communities all over the United States and international. So that's one thing I love. We're not planning on moving, but if we do move one day, we could just find a community close to where we do move, which is pretty awesome. So again, please let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Also, if you haven't seen my other videos, I have made lots of fun games and resources that you can do with your kids this summer to review the Cycle 1 material that they have learned this year. So I will link below in the description some of those games and where you can find out more about those things. A lot of them are free. Some of them are in my Etsy shop. So make sure you check them out. If you are enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I'm continuing to post one video per week at least throughout the summer about homeschooling, healthy living, and tutoring soon. I'll be posting Cycle 2 tutor videos in the next month or so. And also check out my Instagram. I like to post what we're doing homeschool-wise and healthy recipes we're making at home throughout the week. And also check out my blog where I post blog posts each week that usually relate to homeschooling and lots of resources as well. So I will link those below in the description. And again, let me know if you have any questions and have a great day.